Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Caitanya-Caritāmṛta ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna everyone. So thank you so much for coming this morning. So before I begin, I tried to convince His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj to give the class, but he forced me. So with Maharaj's blessings and with the blessings of Kishore Prabhu, Shri Krama Mataji, many senior devotees here, I'll try to share something on this very confidential part of the Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta. So today we're continuing to read. We're reading from chapter number 13 of the Madhya-lilā, entitled The Lord's Dancing at Rath Yatra. And today we're reading from text number 142, and then we'll stop at 147, where there's a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. So just to recap, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is at the Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra, and he's experiencing the mood of Srimati Radharani. This is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to reveal to the world, and this is also what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone to take shelter of. It's explained in the Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmanas tumam partha devim prakritim ashrita, that the great souls, they take shelter of the internal energy. So Srimati Radharani is the source of all devotion. Confirmed. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming to teach that not just what Radha Bhav is, but how to take shelter of Srimati Radharani, without whose grace nobody can please Krishna. Once Srila Prabhupada was actually in Mumbai, and he was going to give a program at the house of the Birlas. The Birlas at that time were the wealthiest family in India. So before Srila Prabhupada was to arrive, the devotees went to them and gave them a list of topics and said, which of these topics would you like Srila Prabhupada to speak on? So out of all the topics, there was a list of topics, and they picked one topic, and the topic was how to be successful. So devotees were thinking, all the people coming here are already successful, but they wanted to know, how can we become even more successful? So the devotees told Srila Prabhupada, they want you to speak on how to be successful. And then Prabhupada came and he started giving the talk, and then Prabhupada gave the definition of success. He said, everyone here is living in the material world, and the material world is under the jurisdiction of Durga Devi. And Durga Devi is like the prison keeper, and she has a trishul, and with her three-spoked trident, she is sending all kinds of miseries to the living entities. So Prabhupada said, everyone is under the jurisdiction of Durga Devi, but now everyone must try to shift and come under the shelter of Srimati Radharani, because Durga Devi is simply an expansion of Srimati Radharani. And if you do that, then you are successful. So that was Prabhupada's definition of success. He said the goal of life is not to move to a higher and higher prison cell within the jail of Durga Devi. More money, more fame, more position, and then what? Just in another cell of a higher grade. No, the real success is if you get out of the prison. And then to do that, you have to take shelter of Srimati Radharani. So Srimati Radharani, her example is so important for us. And if you look at all the Gaudiya teachers, then what they're doing actually is they're systematically revealing Srimati Radharani's love as super excellent, as unparalleled, as the epitome of prema bhakti. And therefore, for example, Ramananda Rai, when he's having a conversation with Mahaprabhu, he goes through many, many stages. Mahaprabhu says, Eho bhaiya, age kaho aar, say something more, say something more. And finally, when he reaches the culmination, Sri Radha's love. If you look at Sanatan Goswami, he writes a book, Brihat Bhagavatamrita, where Narad Muni is going on a journey to find out who got the most mercy. So Narad Muni goes through many, many individuals, and finally his journey ends when he arrives at Sri Radha and explains her love. Rupa Goswami writes a book, The Nectar of Instruction, and he goes through many, many stages of devotional life. And where does his book ultimately culminate? Radha Kund and the love of Sri Radha. And in the same way, Kaviraj Goswami, he's writing so many things in the Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, but it's all culminating in Sri Mati Radharani's love. So that's what we're reading about here. It's a very deep, confidential topic, but let's see how much we can grasp. So this is text number 143. It is amazing that you have forgotten the land of Vrindavan. And how is it that you have forgotten your father, mother, and friends? How have you forgotten Govardhan Hill, the bank of the Yamuna, and the forest where you enjoyed the Rasa-lila dance? Krishna, you are certainly a refined gentleman with all good qualities. You are well behaved, soft-hearted, and merciful. I know there is not even a tinge of fault to be found in you. Yet your mind does not even remember the inhabitants of Vrindavan. This is only my misfortune and nothing else. I do not care for my personal unhappiness, but when I see the morose face of your mother Yashoda and the hearts of all the inhabitants of Vrindavan breaking because of you, I wonder whether you want to kill them all. Is it that you want to enliven them by coming there? Why is it that you are simply keeping them alive in a state of suffering? The inhabitants of Vrindavan do not want you dressed like a prince, nor do they want you to associate with great warriors in a different country. They cannot leave the land of Vrindavan without your presence. They are all dying. What is their condition to be? So we'll read text number 147. Tumi vrajer jivana vraja rajer pranadhana Tumi vrajer sakala sampad Tumi vrajer jivana vraja rajer pranadhana Tumi vrajer sakala sampad Kripadra tomara man asi jao vraja jan vraje uday karo anija pad Kripadra tomara man ashi jao vraja jan vraje uday karo anija pad Tumi vrajer jivana vraja rajer pranadhana Tumi vrajer sakala sampad Kripadra tomara man ashi jao vraja jan vraje uday karo anija pad Try. Ladies. Kripadratamadaramanasija vrajajan. Braja Raja Pranadhana Tumi Vraja Sakala Sampad. Kripadra Tomaraman Nashija Vrajajan Vraja Uday Karavani Japa. Tumi, you, Vrajera Jivan, the life and soul of Vrindavan, Vrajarajer, and of the king of Braj, Nanda Maharaj, Pranadhan, the only life, Tumi, you, Vrajera of Vrindavan, Sakala Sampad, all opulence, Kripardra, melting with kindness, Tomaraman, your mind, Ashi, coming, Jiao, give life, Vrajajana, to all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Vrajay, in Vrindavan, Udaya Karo, cause to appear, Nijapad, your lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. My dear Krishna, you are the life and soul of Vrindavan Dham. You are especially the life of Nanda Maharaj. You are the only opulence in the land of Vrindavan, and you are very merciful. Please come and let them all live. Kindly keep your lotus feet again in Vrindavan. Purport. Srimati Radharani did not express her personal unhappiness at being separated from Krishna. She wanted to evoke Krishna's feelings for the condition of all others in Vrindavan Dham, Mother Yashoda, Maharaj Nanda, the cowherd boys, the gopis, the birds and bees on the banks of the Yamuna, and the water of the Yamuna, the trees, forests, and all other paraphernalia associated with Krishna before he left Vrindavan for Mathura. These feelings of Srimati Radharani were manifested by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore he invited Lord Jagannath, Krishna, to return to Vrindavan. That is the purport of the Rath Yatra's cart going from Jagannath Puri to Gundicha temple. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Just so you know, London Rath Yatra is now confirmed for the 20th of July. Here, Srimati Radharani is expressing that Krishna, you're the life of Vrindavan. When you left, all life in Vrindavan almost stopped. Therefore, Krishna is the life, the pranadhan. In English, they have the concept of someone being the life of the party, isn't it? When there's a party, if this person isn't present, they're like the life of the party. It's like, it's not the same. The music is the same, everything is the same, well, the venue is the same, but if that person isn't there, they're the life of the party. They're the ones that bring it alive. They're the ones that give that sense of enjoyment and joy. So like this, Krishna is not just the life of the party, he's the life of their lives. This is the meaning of pranadhan. Therefore, Vrindavan without Krishna feels like a desert. A similar sentiment is said by Mother Sita when Ram is going for Vanavas, when he's going to be exiled. Then he says, I'm leaving, and she says, I'm coming with you. And Ram says to Sita, but how can you come to the forest? you're a queen. And she looks at him and says, Ayodhya without you is like the forest, and the forest with you is like Ayodhya. In other words, the same sentiment, that if Ram is there, if Krishna is there, then there's life. And so like this, in our life, there's no real life unless Krishna is there. We can try and fill our life with so many things, but until Krishna comes back, or Krishna is already there, and until we recognize Him and awaken that presence of Krishna, then whatever we may do to fill our life, whatever relationships we may form, it won't make us happy. No relationship can match that relationship with Krishna. That has to come first, and then all other relationships are enlivened by that connection with Krishna. Sridhama Prabhu used to tell a story. It's called the story of Lulu. And he explained how once a man went to the hospital and he went to the mental unit and he went into one room and there was one man, and the man was just constantly Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. So he turned to the doctor, the person who was visiting. He said, "What happened to this guy?" He said, "There was a girl, Lulu, and he didn't get her." Then the man went to the next room and there was another man, Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. He turned to the doctor. He said, "What?" He said, "This is the one who married her." Nothing against Lulu, but it's very interesting whether you get the thing of this world or you don't get it. You don't get it, and then it causes so much anxiety, you feel like there's a vacuum in your life. And then you get the very thing that you wanted, and even that creates a vacuum. Everything creates a vacuum only if Krishna comes back. So therefore, Srimati Radharani is pleading to Krishna at Kurukshetra, it's time to come back. You have to come back. It's interesting here that Srimati Radharani is not talking about her love. She's saying, forget me, I'll tolerate it. But what about all the other residents of Braj? What about Nanda Maharaj? What about the Gopas? What about the love of Mother Yashoda? The love of Mother Yashoda. Today is Mother's Day, right? So there you go. The love of Mother Yashoda is the most glorious type of love. And therefore, he's pointing to her. Just look at what you're doing to your mother. Years ago, whenever we talked about Mother's Day, it would yield a heavy reaction in the Brahmacharya ashram. This is Maya. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhanapran. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father. It was very heavy, Sometimes, I remember one devotee pulled out a verse on me on Mother's Day. He said, "What's all this?" He goes, "Janame janame sab pita mata paya, Krishna Guru nahi mile bhaja hariye." This is a very famous verse. Life after life, one gets a mother and father. Every life you get a mother and father. But which life? Krishna Guru mile. In which life do you remember Krishna? Meet the Guru. That's a special life. Nowadays, I think maybe that's a little fanatic. It's okay. We can also appreciate our mothers and give our gratitude to them for all they have done for us. And at the same time realize that, yes, Krishna is the ultimate mother. Mother's love is actually very, very special. Prabhupada makes that point that the purest type of love in the material world is the love of a mother. And I'm seeing Chandramauli Maharaj, I was once remembering Janaki Nath. And I remember, this was just a few months before he passed away, it was Mother's Day. And I was with him here. And he said, "Hey, it's Mother's Day. Did you call your mom?" I said, "I haven't called her yet." And then he said, "Okay, let's send her some flowers." And he started going on his computer and ordering flowers to be sent to my mom. I said, my mom's a Gujarati mom, man. She's not into all this stuff. He said, you should take some time to thank her. It's very interesting that when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, then after he took sannyas, he came to Shantipur. And in Shantipur, all the devotees brought Charitamrita to see Mahaprabhu after he had done this unspeakable act of taking sannyas. And then they also brought Charitamrita. And it's very interesting that when Charitamrita saw Mahaprabhu, she only asked for two things. The first thing she asked of Mahaprabhu, she said, don't go and live far away in Vrindavan. Live in Jagannath Puri. So that, because Puri and Navadvip are like two rooms in the same house, then at least I will get news of you. So that was her first wish, that she may always get news of Mahaprabhu. And you know what her second wish was? What was the second thing? Out of all the things that Charitamrita could have asked Mahaprabhu, anything, just one thing she wanted, one other thing. Cooking. She said, while you're here for 10 days, only I should cook for you. It's very interesting. Out of all the things she could have asked for, that's what the mother wants to do. So I was telling Janaki that I can so relate to this. I said, all she wants me to do is go home so she can cook for me. And to this day, my mom only asked me two things. She said, you've gone mad, you're traveling everywhere, doing everything. I accept it all. But she says, two things. Can you phone me at least? And the second thing is, can you come home so I can cook for you? So I could very much relate to Mahaprabhu and Charitamrita, because my mom said exactly the same thing. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. So Mahaprabhu let her cook for those 10 days. But actually it's mentioned that Mahaprabhu didn't just let her cook for those 10 days. Mahaprabhu was always coming there. Sachira mandire ar nityananartane Shrivas kirtane ar raghava bhavane Ei charithani prabhu sada avirbhav Prema Krishna hoya prabhur sahaja svabhav. It's explained that Mahaprabhu always used to go to 4 places. Sachira Mandire, where his mom was cooking, or in the household temple of his mother. Nityanandartane, wherever Nityananda was dancing. Shrivas Kirtane, wherever Shrivas Thakur was holding his kirtan. And Raghava Bhavane, in the household of Raghava Pandit and Damayanti. Ei Charithani Prabhu, Sada Avirbhav, the Supreme Lord always came to these 4 places. Prema Krishna, because he's attracted by love. Sahaja Svabhav, this is his very natural inclination, nature. So yes, like this, the love of the mother. Lochan Das Thakur actually explains that on the night when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, before he was going to leave in the morning or in the middle of the night, he narrated one pastime to Charitamrita before he left from the Bhagavatam. You know which one it was? On the night before he was about to take sannyas, he decided to open the Bhagavatam and recite one pastime to Charitamrita before he left. Guess which one it was? He spoke to her the whole pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. Because in that pastime, his mother, Suniti, which literally means one who gives good counsel, Suniti told Dhruva Maharaj, you should go to the forest and you should worship Vishnu. And then later on, of course, we know that's what Dhruva Maharaj did. He perfected his life, and when Dhruva Maharaj was going back home, back to Godhead, then before he was about to step onto the chariot, the carrier, he said, hey, hang on, what about my mother? And they said, don't worry, by your devotion, she's already got her ticket, she's also coming. So Mahaprabhu related this pastime before. So he said, Lochan Das Thakur says, Mahaprabhu said to his mother, Isn't it the duty of a son once he grows up that he must leave home, earn wealth, and then come back home and give that wealth to the family? She said, yes. So now I have grown up, and now I will leave home, and now Golokera Prema Dhan, Harinam Sankirtan, I will develop love, I will gain that supreme treasure of love, and I will bring that back for you. Can I go? No. I tried that one on my mom. Didn't work. So Mother's Day, so much about mothers actually in the Shastra. Here we're talking about Mother Yashoda's love. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually explains every scripture has a Paribhasa Sutra, emperor verse, by which all the other verses in that literature are meant to be understood. And so the Bhagavatam as a whole has a Paribhasa Sutra, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Svayam. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that there is one verse in the 10th canto which is the Paribhasa Sutra of the 10th canto. The 10th canto has its own Paribhasa Sutra. And it's very interesting that that verse describes Mother Yashoda's love. It's very interesting that according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Paribhasa Sutra of the 10th canto, Krishna's pastimes, is a verse which describes love, but interestingly not the love of the gopis, the love of Mother Yashoda. And after Krishna had eaten dirt at Brahmanda Ghat, then Mother Yashoda looked into the mouth of Krishna and she saw all the universes. But then in the very next moment, she just opened her eyes and she just saw Krishna as her small little boy and forgot all of that reverential side of Krishna. So the mother's love is like this. It really looks beyond all of these things and really looks to the core of the being. And that's why it's actually so special. So here the gopis are praying, Radharani is praying, Krishna, please come back. You left, and that day was too much. About 20 years ago, they changed what is now the temple president's office. It used to be an education office, and then it got changed to becoming the temple president's office. And when it got changed to being the temple president's office, they put a beautiful picture in that office for those of you who have been there. And that picture is perhaps the most intense and emotional scene in the entire Bhagavatam. It's the picture of the scene where Akrura comes and he takes Krishna out of Vrindavan. And that scene, out of all the scenes, if you look at that picture, you can just sit there looking at that picture. And if you imagine the emotions that the Brajabasis were going through, I often wondered why out of all of the pictures they chose that picture to be in the temple president's office. My conjecture is that the temple president's office is an office in which many intense discussions take place. I've been in many intense meetings in that office. And it's very nice because in the middle of all the intensity, you can just look at this picture and realize that this is not really intensity, this is intensity. Akrura came and the gopis looked at Akrura who put Krishna and Balaram on the chariot. And the gopis looked at Akrura and said, Kamsa is like Yamaraj and you are like a Yamaduta because you are coming to Vrindavan. And just like the Yamadutas rip the soul out of the body, you are similarly taking Krishna, you're ripping the life out of Vrindavan, and you're leaving us lifeless. And Akrura is going off, Krishna and Balaram are saying, we'll be back, we'll come again. And the gopis are saying, what will we do? You're leaving us hanging because we can't live without you. And at the same time, we can't die. Because we're living by the rope of hope that one day you'll come back. Dying is hard, but sometimes living in separation is even more difficult. But they can't give up their lives because that hope is there. And so this is everything that's being explained here. It's very, very deep, deep confidential love. So this whole section of the Caitanya-Caritāmṛta and all of these sentiments of Srimati Radharani are basically bringing to us the understanding that when there's love, there's an intensity. Where there's love, the intensity of that love is so strong that it doesn't matter what obstacles may come, the person can't give up that love. The Acharyas mentioned that separation to love is like wind to a fire. When the wind comes and there's a raging fire, then the wind only serves to expand that fire more and more and more. And so where one has a relationship of love, then what separation does is it only fuels that love more and more and more. And so this is one way in which one can understand the quality of their love. The quality of the love of the Brijabasis is that it doesn't matter how many obstacles there were, all of those obstacles and all of those difficulties and all of those intense disappointments only served to fuel their desire for Krishna more and more and more. And therefore this is said to be real love. In the Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, so many verses are there which help us to understand what is love and do I actually have any love. So many definitions of love are given in Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. For example, Kaviraj Goswami will say, Premera svabhava yaha premera sambandh se mane Krishna mora nahi prema gandh. If one has love, one sign will be there, nahi prema gandh, that they will feel themselves to be more and more fallen, more and more impoverished in love. They will feel themselves to be more and more unqualified. One way in which you can understand whether someone has real love or not for Krishna is the level of their humility. Because wherever there is a relationship of love, then there will always be dainya, humility, because one will feel, nahi prema gandh, I don't have one drop of love for Krishna. This is one way in which you can understand whether you have love. Later on in Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, Kaviraj Goswami will say, Atmendriya priti vancha tare balikam, Krishnendriya priti icha dhare premanam. Another way to understand whether you have love or not, how many of your decisions are driven by personal motivation and how many of your decisions are driven by the desire to please Krishna? Does Krishna have the first choice in decision making? Or do I have some selfish concern that comes first when I'm making a decision? One who has prema, Krishnendriya priti icha, their only desire is to satisfy the senses of Krishna, and therefore every decision they take in life will be driven by, how does this help me to serve Krishna more? Another way to see whether you have prema. Later on, Kaviraj Goswami will give another definition. Krishna prema eka apurva prabhav, guru sama lagu ke karoye dasya bhav. How do you know someone has prema? Because karoye dasya bhav, they will be imbued with a deep spirit of service. Love is not just lip service. Love is not just saying you have some feeling, but you'll know that someone really has love when they want to serve more and more and more and more. Prabhupada writes in one letter, I want to expand this movement more and more unlimitedly. That is the sense of spirit of a devotee, to continue serving more and more. Not just saying, but serving. Then you know someone has love. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to have a term, Dandavat Bhakta, because he said many people come to me and they all bow down and they all offer so many prayers, but I call them a Dandavat Bhakta. Because all they ever do is bow down and pray and offer many nice words, but they don't do anything practical to serve. And then he used to have a line, Dandavata Sahasrani Kore Patra Nadiyate. He said, you come and you dandavat sahasrani, you come to me and you offer thousands of obeisances, kare patra nadiyate, but you can't give me even one leaf in my hand to eat. In other words, real love is there when one has a deep mood of service. Another definition given by Kaviraj Goswami of prema, Premera udoya e premera vikar, sveta kampa pulakadi gadgada shrudhar. You know you'll have prema. How? Because your heart will become so soft that when you recite the name of Krishna or you hear something about Krishna, immediately tears will fall from your eyes, your hairs will stand on end, your body will start shaking, and you'll feel completely emotionally moved. The Bhagavatam says, Tadasmasaram hridayam batedam yadgriyamaner harinam adhyayai. If we hear the holy name, but we don't cry, then we must understand we have a heart which is steel-framed. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami says, another way you know that you have love is when your heart becomes so soft that even a little bit of spiritual stimuli creates an incredible emotional reaction. Then you'll understand that there's love. And then in the context of today, there's another verse describing prem. Prema, praghada premera e swabhavachar nija dukha vigna dira na kore vichar. This comes in the pastime of Madhavendra Puri, where it says, Pragada premera e swabhavachar. How do you know someone has love? Nija dukha vigna dhira. Because even when so many obstacles and difficulties come in their life, na kore vichar. They don't consider any of this important. They just carry on serving. They carry on giving themselves. They carry on giving their devotion and their love. This is how you know someone has love. Sometimes it's explained that when there is a heavy shower, then there could be three things: a mud hut, a cement wall, and a mountain top. So it's said that when there's a heavy shower, or when there are heavy difficulties in one's life, then some people are like the mud hut. They fall apart. That shower just breaks their life. And then some are like the cement wall. They're like the sadhakas. What happens is that heavy shower strengthens the wall. So some devotees are like that. They use it's hard, but they use their challenges to strengthen their devotional life. But it said the pure devotee is like a mountain top. And when the shower comes down, then all the flowers come. In other words, the beauty of their devotion is seen in even greater way. So therefore you see in all these pastimes, as the situation gets more and more intense, the beauty of their love becomes more and more apparent. If you want the real fragrance of sandalwood to come out, then it has to be rubbed again and again. If you want the real sweetness of sugarcane to come out, then it has to be crushed more and more. And if you want the real splendor of gold to be displayed, then it has to be boiled more and more. Are you ready to be rubbed, crushed, and boiled? The great devotees are Sarvatha dvamsa rahitam satyapi dvamsa karane yadbhava bandayo yuno sa prema parikirtita. This is another definition given in Caitanya-Caritāmṛta of prema, that every obstacle serves to increase the devotion. So this is what we're reading about, and this is what real bhakti is. It's intense. and one has to be intense. The fire of all of this separation is considered like a fire. And it's said that the sadhaka should also try to develop the fire of separation. Because if we develop the fire of separation, of longing for Krishna, then that fire of separation will burn up all of the anarthas in the heart. And therefore the whole purpose of our spiritual practice is to try to practice our sadhana, but to practice with a deep sense of separation, a deep sense of longing, a deep sense of desperation. Then that kind of sadhana will yield fruit. And so we have to be ready for also going through situations which will fuel our intensity and our longing for Krishna. Like Steve Jobs says, everyone wants to go back to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. Interesting quote. Everyone wants to die, everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. But if you don't die, how you will get there? No, I don't want to die, but I want to go there. I don't want to die. You have to die, then you can only go there. So in the same way, we want to go to the spiritual world, but we don't want to die. We want to hold on to all of the things of this world. So therefore, this intensity, this fire is required in order to burn up all of the attachments, so that we can go there. So yes, the fire of separation. I was just in Azerbaijan recently, and in Azerbaijan they have a fire temple. So it said this temple is very interesting. They say there's like some natural gases or something underneath. So the fires have been burning spontaneously just for many, many years. And it's a very interesting temple actually, because it said that in that temple, Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims and Zoroastrians were all worshipping simultaneously. So if you go to the courtyard of that temple, then they have all these bhajan kutirs, and all the bhajan kutirs, obviously now there's no one staying there, but each one of them are dedicated to a different religion. So you have like Muslim inscriptions, and then next to it you have like Sikh inscriptions from the Guru Granth, and then next to it you have like Sanskrit inscriptions glorifying Shiva and Ganesh, like that, and then you have Zoroastrian scripts in Persian. Anyway, so fire temple, yes, this fire of intensity. So most people are not bad practitioners of Krishna consciousness, we're just casual practitioners. And therefore, as Tribhuvanath Prabhu used to say, quoting Srila Prabhupada, casual means casualty. Therefore, how to increase the intensity, how to increase the quality, how to increase the absorption and real sense of desperation, that will determine the quality of one's spiritual experience. And so, hearing of the Brijabasis, hearing of Srimati Radharani, hearing of this intense longing, helps us to try to internalize some of these feelings and pray that one day we can also have some of that longing. The other day I was on a Bhagavatam call, and they asked me to speak on the meeting between Vidura and Maitreya in the Bhagavatam. So it's interesting, in the meeting between Vidura and Maitreya, there's one very, very beautiful purport. And it's the purport where Vidura, he finds out that before Krishna left this world, Krishna had spoken to Uddhav and Maitreya, and before Krishna left this world, Krishna told Maitreya that once I leave this world, in the future you will meet Vidura, and I want you to tell Vidura all this knowledge and give him this knowledge for his spiritual life. And when Vidura heard that Krishna Krishna who has so many devotees, Krishna who had so many things to think about, Krishna who was in the final stages of his life, his pastimes, that Krishna remembered me. When Vidura heard that Krishna in the last moment had told Maitreya, go and speak to Vidura, I want you to help him. When Vidura heard that Krishna had such a concern for him, Vidura started crying and crying and crying that Krishna is so kind. Krishna never forgot me. And it was so emotionally overwhelming for him that he just started crying. And in that purport, Prabhupada gives a very beautiful purport, and Prabhupada says, this is the last word in love of Godhead, to learn how to cry for Krishna. One must learn how to cry for Krishna, because that intensity is what will bring us to Krishna. So here the gopis are crying for Krishna. They're crying for Krishna to come back to Vrindavan. So that love is, how can we understand it? It's so elevated, so far away from where we are. But it's so inspiring, and therefore we read these and we try to embody some of that desperation and use that as fuel to accelerate our spiritual journey. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So these were some thoughts. If anyone would like to ask any questions or make any comments. Yes. I don't know if there's a mic coming. Yeah.
There's two quotes I wanted to make, which is one from Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta, which talks about the separation. Ayinanda tanuja kinkaram patita mam vishame pavam buddho kripaya tava pada pankaja sutahita duli satrasimvitinda. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I've fallen into this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as an atom at your lotus feet. But then there's another quote from St. Francis of Assisi where he says, he takes it's the last phrases from it, and he says, it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born again into eternal life. And those are the phrases that came to
Thank you so much for sharing. That's beautiful. Yes, the Shikshashtakam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really brings out this mood of devotion. Yuga yitam nimeshena chakshasha pravrishayitam. I'm feeling one moment to be like 12 years or more in your separation. So it's very, very beautiful. So yeah, this is the mood which brings us closer to Krishna, actually. Viraha means separation. But the double meaning of viraha is Vishesha Rahasya Unmilam. Vishesha means special, and Rahasya Unmilam means a confidential type of meeting. And therefore, it's very interesting, the Sanskrit word for separation, viraha, the Sanskrit word viraha means separation, but it simultaneously means a very confidential type of meeting. Because in separation, you actually meet in a deeper way. Therefore, some commentators sometimes ask, why is it that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Sri Caitanya-Caritāmṛta documented everything about Mahaprabhu's life, but he didn't talk about Mahaprabhu's disappearance? And the usual answer that's given for that is because he felt too much pain to talk about it. But another commentator explains there's another reason, because the very final chapter of Caitanya-Caritāmṛta is Shikshashtakam. And therefore, what Kaviraj Goswami was actually explaining is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never died. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never left the world, because the spiritual master lives forever in his instructions and the follower lives with him. And therefore, Mahaprabhu's pastimes are going on even today. Adyapiha Lila Kaha Gaura Roy Kona Kona Bhagyavan Deki Bharapai. So Mahaprabhu's pastimes are going on today. But for those who follow the mood, the mission given in the Shikshashtakam, everything from engaging yourself in Sankirtan, to taking the holy name, to becoming humble, and becoming so indifferent to all the material things of this world, and then doing all of your sadhana in a deep mood of separation, then if you follow all of that, then you will be in Mahaprabhu's pastimes. You will see it all, and there will be no separation. And in that sense, the viraha, the separation, brings Vishesha Rahasya Unmilam, a very special type of meeting. The other word for separation is Vipralambha. Vipralambha is also an interesting word. It literally means to grasp that which is far away. So Vipralambha means separation, but it also means the means by which to grasp that which is far away. So in Vipralambha, you're separated and you simultaneously grasp that which is far away. This is a great mystery. Therefore, in the Padyavali, there's Rupa Goswami writes a verse by Srimati Radharani. I think it's Srimati Radharani. And she says, if I have a choice between seeing Krishna and not seeing Krishna, then I will choose not seeing Krishna. Because when I see Krishna, I see one Krishna. But when I don't see Krishna, then I see Krishna everywhere. So it's very mysterious, because at the same time they want Sambhoga, in the same time the Vipralambha brings a very special type of meeting. So who can understand all these things? But this is the mood. Thank you. Was there a hand here? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for your class. I appreciate that you quote a lot from Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about the importance of Sri Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta relative to other scriptures.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was once in Assam. In Assam is kind of one of these places which is susceptible to flooding. So he said, so then he was talking to someone and they asked the question, if you have the Gita, the Bhagavatam and the CC, and there's a flood and the water level starts rising and you have to put one of the books down, which one do you put down? He said, put the Gita down. He said, the Gita. He said, and if the water level rises more and you have to put a book down, the Bhagavatam or the CC, which one will you put down? The Bhagavatam. But hold the CC. Caitanya-Caritāmṛta Nitya Karapan Jaha Hoite Premananda Bhakti Tattva Gyan. Because Kaviraj Goswami says, brothers, sisters, always read the Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, because Jaha Hoite Premananda, you will experience great happiness, and at the same time Bhakti Tattva Gyan. You will learn all the secrets of devotion. So the Caitanya-Caritāmṛta almost contains the essence of the Gita and the Bhagavatam, because when Kaviraj Goswami was putting the 11,500 verses together, I can't remember the exact statistic, but so many of those verses are actually the essential verses from the Bhagavatam and the Gita. So in that sense, you get the essence of everything, all the scriptures in the Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. You get the essence of all the dhams, because you hear about Mayapur, Vrindavan, and about Puri. You get the essence of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, because sometimes it's mentioned the Adi is Sambandha, The Madhya is Abhideya and the Antya is Prayojana. So you basically get everything. The Gita is the words of Krishna, the Bhagavatam is the activities of Krishna, but the CC is like the mind of Krishna. And it's interesting, even if you look at the purports, one devotee made an observation which I resonated with. He said, if you look at the purports of the Gita, it's like Prabhupada giving a formal Pandal program. If you read the purports of the Bhagavatam, it's like Prabhupada giving a morning Bhagavatam class to the devotees. But if you read the purports of the Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta, it's like Prabhupada in his room having a conversation with his intimate disciples. And it's kind of like that. Prabhupada really reveals his heart in the Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta. Sometimes Prabhupada also reveals his disappointment at things, and he's very open. So it's the heart and mind of Krishna. Prabhupada poured his heart and mind into the Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta. And also, one thing I've thought about is you should always try to see what do the pure devotees do behind closed doors when nobody is looking. So what did Prabhupada do behind closed doors when he was away from all the lights of the world and all of the... He was singing Vaishnav bhajans. He used to do that all alone. And we know in the Jaladuta, Prabhupada was reading the Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta just for fun. In his diary he writes, "Today the ship is plying smoothly, but today I'm feeling separation from Sri Vrindavan and my Lord Sri Govinda, Gopinath, Radha Damodar. I've left India just to follow their order, and now I've come so far away from home. My only solace is in reading the Sri Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta, in which I am relishing the nectarian pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." So Prabhupada was reading the CC just for relish, just to get, just to connect. So it's a wonderful gift. The CC is, Prabhupada said, the real Bengali sweet. Yes, Sandesh, Rasagula. It's real Bengali sweet. So it's very nice. Shruyatam shruyatam nityam giyatam giyatam muda chintyatam chintyatam bhaktas Caitanya-Caritāmṛtam. Kaviraj Goswami says, always hear, always speak, and always deeply meditate on what is given here. So we want to enter into the CC. There's one level of reading where you open the book, you read in the morning class and you're like, those were good teachings, then you close the book and you go back into life. We want to get to the point where we open and we go in and we stay there and we live. This is the world. We want to live in this world. Prabhupada said ISKCON is the latest chapter in the Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta. So that's another reason why CC is so incredible, because it's not just a book that you're reading, it's a book that you're in. According to Prabhupada, we're all in the Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta, because he says ISKCON is the latest chapter of the Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta, because remember, Mahaprabhu's pastimes never stopped, they're still going on. And therefore, everything that's written here and then expanded in the Sankirtan movement is the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. So, thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing. I love my mother so much, and currently we're in 2 different parts of the world. Yet when I speak to her, there's so much fear in her voice, so much fear in the narrative that she shares. And when I share about Krishna with her, she pulls back, and then she's like, I feel like I'm cheating on my God when I listen to you. But I feel like her relationship, developing a relationship with Krishna would help her. How can I share Krishna with her without adding to the fear that she has to surrendering to God, to a higher source?
Prayojan Prabhu quoted Assisi, St. Francis of Assisi. And St. Francis says something else. He says, I preach every day. I preach 365 days a year. I'm preaching all the time. And now and again I say something. I preach all the time. And now and again I say something. In other words, what's the real preaching? The real preaching is your own example, your own joy, your own saintly development of qualities. Perhaps, especially with our relatives, that speaks louder than maybe any sermon. And therefore, I would say, at this stage, if someone is not able to hear, that's okay. Just intensify your own devotion, intensify your own relationship with Krishna. And just by dint of being in contact with you, already they're getting so much benefit. And what will happen is that over time, they will open up. But it takes time. Like a flower, you can't force it open. All you can do is keep patiently watering it, nourishing it. Pray that the sun comes out, and in time everything happens. And when it happens beyond your wildest imagination. So, yeah, like my mom is... She's coming around, let's put it like that. Anyway, she was already there. Wonderful devotee, actually, in her own way. But my realization also with my mother is that you have to also let them do it their way, you know. I don't think my mom in this life necessarily is going to become an ISKCON devotee. Maybe. Anything could happen. Maybe not. But she loves Krishna in her own way, and she lived a sinless life, and she made so many sacrifices. And if there's anything good in my life, then maybe I can share some of that benefit with her. What can we do? That's all we can do. But she's already done so much. You're here because of her grace. And therefore everything that you're doing, she gets the credit. So she's already making so much advancement. And just be a good example. And spike her drink with Maha water. Last question.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I wanted to say how grateful I am for your lecture. It was wonderful, and the text is amazing as well. What I wanted to, you mentioned it, really amazing example of this Lulu girl, yeah? No, but it's so wonderful. I wanted you to clarify a bit more, or maybe expand on it, because, on it, but on different...
We'll have to go into the commentaries of the acharyas on this story.
No, what I'm more interested is like, if we're calling for Radhe, and the same thing with this Lulu girl, the guy who didn't, who wanted to marry her, was going mad and was saying her, chanting her name. But the guy who married her also was in desperation, isn't it? So that's the same goes for Krishna.
For Krishna.
Exactly same thing, isn't it?
If you don't get Krishna, you go mad.
Yeah.
If you get Krishna, you go mad. I think life is about going from one madness to another, basically. We're always going to be in Maya. It just depends whether you want to be in Maha Maya or Yoga Maya. Basically, Mahaprabhu says, Kiba mantra dila goshai, kiba tarabal, japite mantra, korite pagal. What kind of mantra you've given me, oh Gosai? What kind of power? Japite mantra, I'm chanting it again and again, korite pagal. I'm becoming completely mad. So, yeah, Prabhupada says the people of this world are mad after sense gratification. And the devotees are mad after Krishna. Prabhupada said they think you're mad and you think they're mad. That's what it is. So, but it's a transcendental madness. It's a madness which is very inconceivable, because in that madness we get an incredible joy. Love of Krishna is like, what is that? Boiling hot sugarcane juice. It burns you, but it's so sweet you can't give it up. It's like, so these are all. So we want to become mad after Krishna. Prabhupada actually writes a letter to a leader, I think it's a GBC. So throughout the letter, whole letter, Prabhupada is telling him, and bank the money here, and do this, and make sure you speak to that person, and get this permission from the government. And then in the last line of the red letter, Prabhupada says, and don't forget your main duty is to become mad after Krishna. It's like, Prabhupada gets all these management points, and then it says, become mad after Krishna. So may we all become mad after Krishna. Yes, Maharaj.
The spiritual downside of becoming mad is you can't do your service.
Yeah.
So great souls try to restrain that.
Restrain there.
So they can continue on their service. Yeah. So that's...
Yeah, no, we have the example of Daruka, Krishna's charioteer who wants to fan Krishna, but as soon as he begins and has ecstatic emotions, then he can't serve, and therefore he prays for those to go away. So yes, it said there's Jadananda, the happiness of material things, there's Brahmananda, the happiness of liberation, there's Premananda, the happiness of pure love, but it said even higher than that is Sevananda, the happiness of service. That happiness is very sweet. So yes, don't go mad just yet. Serve Srila Prabhupada's movement, and then you can go mad. Shri Caitanya-Caritāmṛta ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.
I think I got it for maybe like 300 or something like that.
And it's a streaming device.
Yeah, it's streaming. I came up with 4K, yeah. Came with these DJI mics as well. These mics.
And it's like you can change, can you zoom in, zoom out?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's digital zoom. Yeah, like they say, like lossless quality and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I might have listened from COVID on my running today.
Very good.
We can keep them in the
You just get the right ones up for me. That's
Usually they do it in the reception, but I think they start a little later. They're doing or doing? They will do, but I don't know if they started yet. You can ask them. You see they have a table there? Just ask them. Thank you.
They will come around 9:30, 10 o'clock. So they'll go.
Because last week it was late, wasn't it? Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. You probably know this already. Oh. She did it already. She started here. No, because we also started in the front, so then people are seeing that you will come so they can make their way out. And it's just, you just go around the corners first, like this. And when it's like somewhere you can't reach, you just do a bit like this to clean it in this way. Yeah. Alright.
So shall I keep going?
Yeah, if you like. Yeah. I will be happy.
Mother's Day. Your sus?
No, not today. She's coming here today. She's coming here. She's coming. Yeah, she's like slowly recovering, but yes, slowly.
What's the name? Kneecaps.
No, it's a bit. Oh, you had both done. And you're how long ago? Oh, and you're okay. Good. Okay, nice to see you.
Tell him to go and get me 2 minutes upstairs.
Okay.
Hurry up. Okay, that is from me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,